Oh, man. Green, green, green. You got to make it green. It's your home, it's your dream. It's your dream. Green on tested, living healthy and clean. Make it green, green, green. Green, green, green.
Making it green is making sure the air in your home is healthy for your family to breathe. Make sure you test your home for the presence of radon. It's easy. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN. Preserve your family's health and well-being. Get your home tested. That's living healthy and green.
Make it green. Green, green, green. Make it green. It's your home, it's your dream. It's your dream.
Make sure you test your home for the presence of radon. It's easy. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN.
A message from the U.S. EPA.
Here's farmer and landowner John Prue.
We purchased the land about 3 years ago, and there was an old farmstead on there with trees. We were going to clear the land so we could farm through it. We thought we knew where the pipe was, so we didn't call to get it located. The work on our property led to the damage of a light crude pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is FM 91.
WEGL Auburn.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, Auburn's premier home for student-run radio since 1971. I'm your host, Jack Hard, joined alongside my color man, Davis Carroll, and the incomparable Daniel Locke joining us today. We'd like to welcome in our listeners and viewers from across the Auburn Opelika Megaplex and around the world, however you may be tuning in today, whether that be on your terrestrial radio antenna, through the information superhighway at weglfm.com, or by listening to our podcast after the fact, wherever you get your podcasts. We are happy to have you in the booth with us for Auburn's only student-run morning drive time show. And now, of course, as always, we are broadcasting live from the Bradley Basin WEGL studios here on the campus of Auburn University, where it is a nice sunny 64 degrees outside this Thursday morning. We are wishing you a wonderful rest of your week as we get on with the show. Welcome to Thursday, and good morning as we get on with the show. Davis, how are you feeling about this week so far and this weekend ahead?
I'm feeling pretty good. Had a good week so far. A little tired today. Got 3 classes. I think I can get through them, though, because tomorrow got 1 class. Be making a big trek, so looking forward to it.
Off to the races will we be tomorrow, traveling seemingly halfway across the country with the amount of time we'll be in the car. But that's a story for another day. So we will jump on over to Mr. Daniel Locke. How are you feeling about the prospects of this week and looking ahead to the weekend?
I'm kind of with Davis. It's been a long week. I've had a few tests, a lot of classwork, feeling a little tired. But this is going to be the first weekend as an Auburn student where I'm not headed to a football game. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Interesting.
Those are good weekends. I'm not going to lie. My freshman year, when you had the ones you didn't have to worry about all the game day traffic during the middle of football season, they were nice. Cherish those. And then you just get back to football. Oh, you have a bye week next week, right?
Yes.
So you got 2 weeks of it, and then you'll be back to football. I'm not a big fan of game day traffic, so maybe that's just me speaking cynically, but I get everybody has to come to the game, but I don't know why everybody has to park in my apartment complex.
Fair enough. It's a great location. That's why. That's what real estate's all about.
Fair.
Location. All right, so at this point, I would like to remind our audience that if any point during these next 2 hours we're hanging out together, you would like to ask us a question, drop us a hot take, or in the highly unlikely event that we get something wrong, if you want to correct us, you can go ahead and do so at 334-844-WEGL. That's our phone number, 334-844-9345. You can also send us a tweet at CDiscAU. That is at CDISCAU. and I'm looking at the Twitter feed right now, so I will be able to get back to you with any concerns you have or any opinions you would like to have on the show. We enjoy Harrison's interactions with the show very much, so continue to interact with the show, and, if you're out there listening and have something you'd like to say, we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and tweet at us at CDISCAU, whether you're listening live or to the podcast. That'd be an awesome thing you could do this fine Thursday morning. All right, well, let's jump right into, we'll do sports to start off the show today. We have no baseball last night. It was a weird feeling. Probably the first day in since April there has been no baseball on. So we are waiting with bated breath to see who will be the other team to participate in the National League Championship Series, as Los Angeles will be taking on San Francisco in the potentially very chilly Oracle Park tonight. That one's going to be first pitch, 8:07 p.m. on TBS. So it's going to be Julio Urias on the bump for the Dodgers in blue, and you'll have Logan Webb on the bump for the Giants of San Francisco. Tickets as low as $145. So hot commodity out there in the Bay Area. So everything's a little bit more expensive out west. This is the only unresolved playoff series. So we'll talk about this one, and then we'll get Daniel's take on what has transpired so far in the playoffs, as he has a vested stake in what's happening over on the American League side of the bracket. How do we feel about LA versus San Francisco tonight? I kind of think we all had a feeling this series would go to 5 once these after we saw how closely these teams were matching up in the regular season, and then they meet in the playoffs for the first time ever, and they're they were battling for the division all year long, and now they're going to be battling for the final four spot, if you will, in the MLB. So what does a rivalry game play into in the playoffs, and what do two extremely talented teams, how do you manage your talent level after expending so much of it in Game 4? What's the strategy for both of these teams coming up tonight at 8 p.m.?
So, in my opinion, biggest game of the year against your biggest rival, you can't leave any stone unturned. You've got to be firing from the very get-go. I know they're tired, but they've had a day of rest, and it's not as big of a travel day as most are. So you've got to put it all out there if you're either team, because this is your whole season. You're 107 wins or 106 wins. Like, that could all be nothing after tonight. So you really got to go for it.
Mm-hmm. Dodgers had a 48-33 record on the road during the regular season. San Francisco had a 54-27 record in their home park. I think you can throw all of that out the window, though, because this one is going to be a weird game. When the season is on the line and you have pretty much your entire bench at your disposal, the managers love to mess around with that lineup card. So you might even see all 23 men play in this game for both teams.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
The run line is -1.5 in favor of the Giants, so Vegas likes the home team in this one. They're favored by 1.5. Money line 105. The over/under in this one is 7. So with the way this series is going, I might just grab the under on that one, although we might have to consult betting expert Jacob Hillman to get the scoop on that. So it's going to be a brisk 50 degrees under the moonlight in San Francisco tonight. So we will see how that affects the performance of the sunny South California Dodgers. I know in Game 4, I was hearing reports that there were over 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts blowing in from the outfield, and they were cold wind gusts too. So I don't know if that affected the performance of the team or not, but it was definitely an adjustment you have to make. You can't just go out with your normal game plan when that kind of thing's happening.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's just weird. You don't really associate that kind of weather with California, or especially SoCal. But, I mean, that's just part of it in this time of year. You just never know what type of weather you're going to get, so you have to be prepared regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, whether you're playing in Houston, where it's probably still 90 degrees outside every day, or Fenway, where if the sun's not out, you can get down to the 50s. that series is going to be bouncing all over when it comes to weather. Looking at your batting leaders for the Dodgers, Max Muncy is leading the charge. He's got 36 home runs, a 2.5 average, and 94 RBIs. Justin Turner has a slash line of 278, 361, and 471. And Max Muncy, of course, your RBI leader there on Dodgers as well. On the Giants, your home run leader is Brandon Belt. Fittingly enough, he has 29 knocks on the year. Batting average leader is Crawford. His slash line is 298, 373, 522. Excellent slugging percentage for Brandon Crawford. He is also your RBI leader with 90 on the year. Jumping over to the defensive side of things, Walker Buehler is your ERA leader. We might see him in some relief work tonight. Urias led the regular season in wins with 20, and Buehler led the league in strikeouts as well with 212 this year. Kevin Gausman is your ace for the Giants across the board. He led the team in ERA, wins, and strikeouts as well. But Buehler and Gausman are not the ones starting tonight. There's, of course, Julio Urias and Logan Webb being your starting pitchers for tonight. They both won their respective games that they started in the postseason so far, so something has got to give tonight. Urias has an ERA of 1.8. Logan Webb is perfect so far. Urias has 5 innings of work. Webb has 7 2/3. Urias has given up 3 hits. Webb's given up 5 hits. Urias has 5 strikeouts. Webb has 10 strikeouts, and Urias has walked a batter. Neither pitcher has given up a home run. Now, I give the advantage to Webb, and just based on stats. He's had more experience and has done more with it so far this postseason, but I wouldn't count out Urias. I mean, this guy has plenty of experience, so I think this is going to be the reason I'm taking the under in this one is just because I like both of these pitchers a great deal, and I know both teams are going to be throwing everything they have at each other, because obviously, like Daniel said, it's all or nothing for both of these teams. It's going to come down to which one of these pitchers runs out of gas first. I think there's going to be like a big 3-run home run that chases one of these guys, and that's going to be curtains for the entire series.
Yeah, I agree with that take. And is it time for predictions?
I think we could go ahead.
I'm going with San Fran. I don't know if that's wishful thinking, as the part of me that cheers for the Braves, despite the jersey I'm wearing today. But I think that they get it done.
I'm going to go the Dodgers on this one. As much as I would love the Giants to win, I think the Dodgers is too high-powered for them to take them out.
I think the explosive. I think the San Francisco Giants have been an all-around more consistent and talented team throughout the season, and as a result, I mean, that's why they won 107 games, best record in baseball, and got the 1 seed in the National League. However, what the Dodgers have done is be electric and explosive and clutch, as much as that doesn't really matter, the clutch aspect. But being explosive, they've had lower lows, but they've also had higher highs, and I think the San Francisco Giants' consistency is perfect. It's a perfect formula for winning regular season games, and they did 107 of that. So, but I think the Los Angeles Dodgers, the way they broke open all the games, San Francisco played very close games in the one they've won, and Los Angeles has kind of blown out the Giants in the games they've won. So I think it's going to be, on a razor's edge throughout the entire game, and I think that lends itself very well for 1 or 2 bounces going the Dodgers' way, and the Dodgers come away with this one, I would say, like in a 5-2 victory. So that's my prediction for tonight, but there is plenty of other playoff baseball to talk about, and we will do so on the other side of a break. We've got the National League Championship Series to talk about with your Atlanta Braves joining the party. We've also got our matchup set for the American League with the Astros playing in their 5th straight American League Championship Series against Daniel and Bay's Boston Red Sox. Speaking of Bay Marks, we got him coming in later on in the show to do our favorite segment, Uniform Factor, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM.
The Delta variant cases of COVID-19 might be more infectious and more transmissible, but there is something we each can do to limit the spread of coronavirus. wear a mask. Whether it's homemade or manufactured, embellished or plain, wearing a face mask or covering in public, in addition to social distancing and regular hand washing, is one of the easiest ways to protect yourself and others from coronavirus. According to the CDC, wearing a mask is an important part of a layered prevention approach that not only helps to limit cases of COVID-19 infections in communities where vaccination rates are low, but doing so can also limit the emergence of future COVID-19 variants. By wearing a mask or face covering, especially in crowded indoor spaces or busy areas with limited ventilation or poor air quality, you can do your part to keep yourself, your family, and others around you safe. For more information, visit our website at alabamapublichealth.gov. That's alabamapublichealth.gov.
COVID-19 changed everything, and good information has never been more important. There are jobs available right now. Get the facts about what it takes to get one and how you can take action. Use your time to get prepared for the job you need and the career you want. We'll all get through this with information and resources to be ready for what comes next. Your success story is our success story. Get started at alabamaworks.com.
My community means everything to me. That's why I joined the Army National Guard. I'm proud of where I'm from, and as a soldier, I get to give back to the people that helped me succeed. The training and leadership skills I get from the Army National Guard help me every day when I teach young people and look out for my community. If you'd like to learn how you too can serve part-time in the community you love, visit nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard, aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
91.1 WEGL FM, Auburn University.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse, right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll, Daniel Locke, and now Alex Houston. Welcome into the show. I'm sure things will get much more colorful from here on out as a result. So we're going to jump right back into what we were discussing before the break, and that is, of course, playoff baseball. Now, of course, the Dodgers and Giants are playing tonight to see if they can which one of those teams will make it to the National League Divisional Series to take on, of course, the Atlanta Braves, who punched their ticket to the NLDS on Tuesday when it was a 4-4 tie, and Freddie Freeman sent home a home run to left center field in the bottom of the 8th inning to make it 5-4. On their final out, Christian Yelich comes up to bat and watches 3 pitches sail right by to end the Brewers' season. And that is all she wrote for the Brew Crew, as after taking Game 1, the Braves get 2 shutouts and 1 not-so-shutout to get 3 straight against the Brewers and come away with their second straight NLCS appearance. Tyler Matzik gets the win in that one. Hader gets the loss. And Will Smith, believe it or not, gets his 3rd save of the postseason as he saved all 3 games against the Brewers. Jumping over to the stats in that one, you had Navarez getting the RBI to break the ice in this one. Kane singles to center to score Urias. That makes it 2-0. Braves come back, and in the bottom of the 4th inning, Rosario singles to shallow center. Austin Riley and Travis d'Arnaud score on that one. Heredia moves over to 3rd. That ties the game at 2-2. Rowdy Tellez then homers in the 5th inning to get 2 RBIs as Christian Yelich was on base. And then in the bottom of the 5th, the Braves answer right back. Jock Peterson grounds into a fielder's choice at 3rd base. Ozzie Albies scores on that one, and Adam Duvall is out at 2nd, moves Austin Riley over to 3rd to make it 4-3. And then Travis d'Arnaud singles over to right field. Riley scores on that one, and Jock Peterson moves over to 3rd. That ties it at 4-4. And as I mentioned earlier, Freddie Freeman in the bottom of the 8th homers to deep center field, 428-foot shot from the reigning National League MVP send the Braves on to the next round as Will Smith comes on and gets 3 crucial outs to send the Brew Crew home packing in this one. Did you guys watch this game? I was unable to watch it, but I was following along on my phone pretty much strike for strike.
I did, and I got home that day. I put it on. One of the best baseball games I've seen in a while. Eamon Smith and I finished up kicking ice, and I raced home to watch it. I went on Monday to Game 3. I wish I'd gone to Game 4. Because, oh my gosh, that would have been so fun. But, hindsight's 20/20. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost you couldn't write a better story for the Braves having their MVP get an effective walk-off homer and then, having their closer, who they've been having troubles with all year, come out and successfully close the game after putting a man on first. So it was a very impressive performance by the Braves the entire series. I thought the Braves were in real trouble after they went down 1-0 up in Milwaukee. But they showed glimpses in that game, putting the tying run, I think, at second base in the bottom of the ninth in the top of the ninth up in Milwaukee. So I think they showed glimpses of greatness. This very easily could have been a sweep if you look back in hindsight at it. So I'm impressed with the Braves' performance, and it's given me a little bit more optimism that the NLCS might be a little more competitive than I thought. It seems like this team is geared up for the postseason and ready for whatever challenge awaits after we have a winner declared in Oracle Park tonight.
Yeah, it was a good series. The Brewers obviously not as great as some people thought. Braves move on, and I think the Braves are going to win the NL.
Really?
Really.
It's a bold claim, but I enjoy that claim as a Braves fan. Christian Yelich, he gets the chance to basically win it for the Brewers. I mean, if you hit a home run there, that's basically curtains for the Braves going up 6-5 in the top of the ninth, and he just watches 3 pitches go right by him for the end of the Brewers season. I mean, did you have any initial reactions to that when it happened? Because I was kind of aghast.
Yeah, I was really confused myself, but the more I got thinking about it, I was talking to my dad, who's the biggest Braves fan I know. After the fact, we were talking on the phone about it, and he said, you said a minute ago how Will Smith's had some trouble this year, so maybe he thought if he just played it conservatively, Will Smith wouldn't be able to strike him out without throwing one right down the heart of the plate for Yelich to take over the fence, but that pitch just never came.
Yeah, he was waiting on his pitch, and he never got it. Yelich had 5 ABs on the day, struck out swinging, grounded out to third, singled to shallow right, struck out swinging, and struck out looking. So 3 strikeouts for Christian Yelich, former MVP of the National League.
Hopefully that Insta claims he's better than healthy Mike Trout, because I'm sorry, that's just not true.
Who claimed that?
I don't know. Someone did. I can't remember.
I think Daniel's making up someone and getting mad at him.
I'm not. I'll find that tweet.
Christian Yelich has been off his game for this whole season. Even last season, he kind of faltered a little bit. Him and another person, this Cody Bellinger, they got their power sucked away by Shohei Ohtani coming over or something. It's the only theory I got. Shohei's like the Monstars. Christian Yelich, I do like Christian Yelich. I hope he gets his powers back. I hope he bounces back. Same with Bellinger. I don't like Bellinger as much as he's on the Dodgers, but he's a fun player. And I don't know. They just got the yips or something. Yeah, Christian Yelich just overall not playing too well, and the 3 strikeouts in the deciding game of the NLDS kind of shows that. It's a good microcosm of those troubles.
That's right. So we are going to now jump.
Bless you, Alex.
Thank you.
Alex is over here sneezing.
He's fighting for his life over there.
Yeah, it is that was a difficult one. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, so let's jump on over to the game we have on Friday. That is in Minute Maid Park, as I like to call it, the Juice Box, and that one is going to be the Boston Red Sox traveling deep in the heart of Texas to take on the Houston Astros, who are playing in their 5th straight American League Championship Series. This is Game 1, and we're all very excited for it. Taking a look at the batting leaders in this one, it's going to be Devers for the Red Sox. He's your home run leader with 38. Xander Bogaerts is your batting average leader with a 295 mark, and Devers is also your RBI leader with 113. Yordan Alvarez over on Houston. He's your designated hitter. He has 33 knocks and 104 RBIs on the year. Yuli Gurriel is your batting average leader with a cool 319. All right, so what's the prognosis on this one, Daniel?
Well, I'm nervous about it, but I'm also very excited to see the Red Sox back in the ALCS after missing, obviously they won the World Series in 2018. They missed the playoffs in 2019. The short season 2020 Red Sox were one of the worst baseball teams I've ever seen. They couldn't score, and they couldn't pitch. So you had a lot of blowout games in that one, or for that short season. I'm glad that team didn't play a full 162, since I honestly believe they would have had one of the worst records ever. But the 2021 Red Sox, different story, had a scare there at the end, but they got it done. They got the wild card spot against the Yankees. They beat them. Took care of Tampa Bay, really. Now we've got Houston, who I don't think is as good as Tampa Bay, if I'm being honest with you. So I think the Red Sox get this one done in 5 or 6 games.
Interesting. Now, I think the biggest, you kind of are facing two different animals when you have the Astros versus the Rays. The Rays I see as a very good pitching team, which the Boston Red Sox did not really care about at all and took them deep a number of times to have plenty of offensive explosions in that series. I would say the Astros are a much more heavily offensively focused team. You have Yordan Alvarez, who's the designated hitter on the Astros, basically setting all kinds of numbers for the Astros offensively. So I think it's going to be, now the pressure is going to lie on Chris Sale and the rest of the Red Sox rotation to kind of tamp down the Astros, because I don't know if the Red Sox lineup, as hot as they are, will be able to keep pace with this Astros, especially if you get down a game or two heading back to Fenway later on next week.
Yeah, that's a good point. And in Game 3 and Game 4 of the ALDS against the Rays, the Red Sox did blow 2 eighth inning leads. They did end up winning both those games, but I don't really think you can afford to do that in this series. We can't really do a shootout. We've got to stop them in this one.
Yep. So, they have not announced starters yet. Do you have any idea of? Do you think it's going to be Chris Sale for the Sox?
I've been thinking about that a lot, and I do. I think they're going to rock with Sale. And if Sale can get 5 innings and allow 3 runs or less, I think that's a successful day.
I know they put Eovaldi on the bump for the All-Star game, or not the wild card game. Am I right about that?
You are.
Okay, so it could be Eovaldi, but it also is, you got to get a win in Game 1 if you want to have, especially on the road, you want to come back to Fenway with some momentum in Game 3. So I think Chris Sale is the presumptive starter for this Game 1 coming up tomorrow evening in Houston. I mentioned the weather earlier in the show. It's supposed to be around 91 degrees in Houston on first pitch, and then over in Boston at the same time, it's going to be around 63 degrees. So about 30 degrees of temperature difference between these two cities. So it's going to be, especially after the sun goes down, going to be very different as these teams gear up to travel, halfway across the country to take on each other. Much like the Red Sox Dodgers World Series we saw a couple years ago, where it was very cold in Boston and very hot in Los Angeles. Just something to consider.
That was a good World Series.
Yeah, I'm sure you were a big fan of. I was a big fan of the 18-inning game, personally.
Yeah, that was,
for a night owl like me, getting to watch baseball at 2:30 in the morning was a lot of fun.
I remember I was watching that game, and my mom came out. I was like, "When are you going to go to bed?" I was like, "When the game's over."
Fair enough. That's a good general bedtime, I think. I think once the sports end is generally when you need to go to bed.
I agree.
Even on a Pac-12 Saturday. All right, we're going to head to a quick break. I see Bay Marks has peeked his head in the door. We might get his take on what's coming up for the Boston Red Sox, as he is a Red Sox fan, and the main event, of course, Uniform Factor. That is coming up on the other side of this break. We're talking all kinds of college football uniforms, maybe even a little hockey talk, as we have one half of Kicking Ice with us here today. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2 minutes with some more Compact Discourse, including Bay Marks and Uniform Factor. Don't go anywhere.
If you've been working, you've already proven yourself in ways you may not even notice. Managing your time, communicating effectively, and working as part of a team are key skills that employers value. At alabamaworks.com, you can find out how to build on your experience to up your game and get the job you really want, because it's out there. Start your new success story at alabamaworks.com.
Sponsored by Alabama Works, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
They really appreciate what she's done as a sister as well as a soldier and, supporting their country.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join.
Family members that are soldiers in the Army National Guard inspire and influence, setting a path for others.
It's validating knowing that, I kind of did my part to make sure this is what they actually wanted and that they feel the same way I do. I'm really proud that we get to help shape the future, and I know that my sisters are going to be amazing soldiers.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share in.
A lot of pride, and they're just out there doing something every day and then serving their country as well.
I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture.
Visit nationalguard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard, aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Watch out for people riding bikes. It's not just courteous. Now it's the law. The new 3 Feet for Safety Act requires that drivers give at least 3 feet of space when passing bicyclists. More and more people are commuting and touring Alabama on bicycles. As the number of cyclists on our roads increases, so does the need for safe driving. So slow down and give cyclists 3 feet of room. Follow the rules of the road and watch out for each other. Learn more at drivesafealabama.org. Sponsored by ALDOT, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
WEGL Auburn.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, and thankfully I have everyone else's mics muted as the discourse has gotten a bit out of hand now that Bay Marks has joined us in the studio. Checking out camera number 3, we've got 2 Red Sox fans on one microphone. What could go wrong? I remember the last time we had 2 fans of the same team on one mic here in the studio. Their team gave up 10 unanswered in the bottom of the first inning, so we'll see if that same bad luck streak continues, as the WEGL curse could be alive and well, or it might just be, a mutation of the Hillman curse, the Hillman variant, if you will. Welcome into the show, Alex Houston, Davis Carroll, Daniel Locke, Bay Marks. Everyone, say hello. Wave hello to the people at home.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, I haven't even been here 5 minutes, and Davis
I was just messing with Bay, and he started
morning.
going at my neck over here.
This man goes, you know what? We're not going to get into it. What
No,
happens
go
off
ahead
the
and
air
say
stays
it.
off
No,
the
go
air.
ahead and say it. Let the people know home what I said.
Dude is trying to tell me that when I was 4 years old, I'm a bandwagon for picking the Red Sox just because I found a random Red Sox shirt in my drawer.
Didn't they?
When the Red Sox had the curse of the Great Bambino and hadn't won in ages.
Hold up. But like, you're sure you were 4 years old? Because I'm pretty sure they conveniently won a World Series around that time. So
yeah,
seems
so why?
kinda
So
suspect.
that means I would have gotten the shirt before they won the World Series.
Unless your age guess is not accurate.
All I'm saying is
Hey.
shots. I'm just gonna say Washington football team and a bandwagon Milwaukee Bucks.
But the thing is, if you're
That's
saying
all I'm gonna say.
what's your criteria for calling me a bandwagon? Because I was a fan when they were bad. I joined because I like Jabari Parker.
Also, my team
not because
sucks,
they
and I've
won.
stuck with it, so I deserve credit.
I'm just saying, if you're calling me a bandwagon because I'm a fan of a team far away, then both of y'all
Can you
are.
show me proof that you were been a fan since
Right
Jabari
there,
Smith got
right there. He went to high school with me.
That's
Freshman
true.
year, I was a fan of Jabari
How is that
Parker.
proof?
I was a fan of Jabari Parker.
In 2014, they sucked. I think it's important to mention in 2014 they were bad, and Davis was still a fan. So, for what it's worth.
For what it's worth.
Not to mention he can recall watching Michael Redd or whatever, which I still don't even understand how that's possible. But it'd be what it be.
Point being, Davis
Villanueva
said, "What are you gonna do if the Astros beat the Red Sox?" Because I made a comment about how one of the White Sox pitchers said that he thought one of them was sign stealing, and I looked at him and I was like, "It's the same thing you would have said if y'all would have lost to the Suns when y'all were down 2-0."
Said they were stealing signs. Crazy.
No, but you would have made up some.
No, I would have said
excuse
we
about why
lost.
y'all lost.
The reality is
this is more heated
baseball
than
and
the
basketball is
frickin'
not the
Oreo
same.
debate.
Hey, okay, but an important thing about this debate, the reality is not if they lose, but when. So with that, in mind,
y'all can handle that. I'm not. No comment.
Do you have a dog in the fight?
Not at all. I just
He
like
likes to
seeing
stir
chaos,
chaos.
and not to mention the Astros coming off the cheating scandal and subsequently winning with a guy who historically does not win in the playoffs is just very funny in general.
Like sign stealing is not cheating, you know.
Well,
I think it's unethical.
the jury's still out on
It's-
that one. It
well,
seems.
if you use outside methods to steal signs, that's cheating. But if you're on second base and you're able to figure out their signs and tell your batter, I don't think that's
the
cheating.
problem was the camera in the outfield that they were using.
That's cheating. Yeah, that's
the
nobody
unethical
disagreeing. That's cheating. But if you're on second base and you just figure it out with your coaches in the dugout from looking at it,
I'd say
I
it's
don't
like a
think
more
that's cheating.
unethical thing. Like it's not exactly the same, but it's almost like if you get a copy of like an old exam. Like it's
That's-
not
okay.
Like you can expect what's coming.
If you figured it out yourself, but like when Kevin Kiermaier took what team was that where he took their sign after it fell out of his pocket?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
That was like
I think it was the
last month.
I think it was the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
It's not technically cheating.
That's basically taking.
I'm
old
just
exam.
saying, in a game where
That is
where
cheating.
part of the game is throwing a 90-mile-an-hour fastball at somebody's head, if they broke the rules, then I think it's kind of difficult to debate what is a rule and what is not. Just saying. So like sign stealing itself, like, I mean, do you as Davis says, the using it outside means such as camera in the outfield, yes, but like if they're just doing it the way
an
that
Apple
they do
Watch.
Yes.
Any comments, you two Red Sox fans?
Yo tengo un Apple Watch.
Reloj de Apple is my guess.
All right. Well, I think to bookend this conversation, I will have a recommendation. A book I read over the summer, or listened to it as an audiobook with my dad, is called The Baseball Codes by Jason Turbo. And it is a fantastic book, basically telling you the entire history of the quote-unquote unwritten rules of baseball, whether that be no one Ryan's no bunting rule, or the all the schemes that have been come up with to steal signs in the past, whether that be fake scoreboards, fake on-air lights, towels being hung off the bullpen. Basically a comprehensive history of how this whole Astros thing is nothing new. Jason Turbo's The Baseball Codes is a book with a comprehensive history of all of that. So check it out if you feel so inclined, if that's your kind of thing. And I think with that, we can jump into uniform factor. Or is everybody cooled down enough?
For now.
It's all out of love, honestly.
We all love each other.
Yeah, it's
here.
all out of love.
It's all love. All right.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I'm going to hit the orange button now.
Now, form factor is a term I learned in my occupational safety and ergonomics class.
Does powder blue ever look bad? Ever?
Absolutely not.
I can't name one team.
That's the worst helmet I've ever seen.
I mean, part of the fun of throwbacks is that we're all in on the joke that they look terrible.
Bird is awful, but the jerseys themselves are sick.
Dude, this is clean, man.
Hey, when they rocking these?
Any thoughts on this Browns-Broncos matchup, Carter?
The game itself?
The uniforms. And the uniforms, of course. Yeah, so we're going to jump right into uniform factor. If you are watching our stream over here on WEGL 91 on YouTube, you can check that out. And if you are not watching the stream, if you're driving around your car, that is saved as a video on demand. Whenever you would like to watch it, you can come back to the YouTube page and just skip to about 30 minutes into the show. All right, we're going to jump over to uniform factor. First uniform is these Texas Tech throwback uniforms. All of these photos are available on uniswag.com. They kind of just source them from the team's social media pages. So I think these are all open source, but uniswag.com is a good, collection site for all of these. So first of all, we're going to talk about throwback uniforms from Under Armour. Once again, this is the second time we've had an Under Armour throwback on the show. The first time being Maryland that we talked about, I think, on one of the first episodes. So these are Texas Tech's throwbacks that they will be wearing against TCU later on this month, and they feature the ye old Texas Tech logo, the double T. That is not the one they use now. It's the old-fashioned one. It also has classic block lettering of Texas Tech and a pretty traditional stripe and numbering pattern on the front on a black jersey, white numbers with red piping. It's got that vintage Under Armour logo, as well as the Big 12 logo, and some interesting kind of battle gray pants to go along with it, with a red Under Armour logo on that. So these are what Texas Tech will be wearing against TCU later on these month, Under Armour throwbacks.
I was just going to say, the first thought I had looking at these, especially with that, is that like more of like not like a gradient in the middle of that number, but like that sort of pattern for whatever reason kind of reminded me out of just nowhere. I believe, what year was that when Texas went on the road to Texas Tech and got beat?
2007. It was the year where everything went crazy.
Well, that night, I will never forget, I was up way too late watching that game. My dad came into my room and got mad at me for watching that game because I was supposed to be asleep. I was 7. But regardless, that's kind of what these unis reminded me of when I looked at them. I know it's not that far back into the past for that, but I mean, just overall, they have a really good color scheme I feel like that they can play with. I feel like a few of these uniforms we've looked at lately kind of fall into that category of being able to do different things with their colors, especially with this red that pops so well with this red and white, or the black and white. I know it's not a huge deal, but Jack mentioned it just now in the open with the uniform, is the throwback Under Armour logo. Almost is kind of just like a subtle touch that uniform aficionados like ourselves really kind of appreciate when looking at a uniform in depth.
Alex, what do you think?
I would say a couple things. One, Bay, you mentioned that gradient in the middle of the number. It's not necessarily a gradient. It is, I believe it's hinting at how old jerseys used to look with all the holes in them and whatnot. Like teams themselves didn't update past those until the early 90s. So this is definitely thrown back to the 80s era of Texas Tech football, because that's how those jerseys used to always look for every team. Now, of course, they don't have those holes in them anymore, but I think that's what it's sort of hinting at in the past. And I like everything about this. The one thing is that, and of course, there's not anything you can do about it, but like you mentioned how that's not their current Texas Tech logo. You could have fooled me, to be honest. It is essentially, they've given the new one a facelift, but it is the exact same T on top of T style, which again, that's always been their logo. There's nothing they can do about that. I just was kind of, when throwbacks, I like teams to get a very unique, different logo, and this is basically just theirs without a 2000s era reboot, which is what they gave it recently. But everything else I like about it. I like how the colors match. I like the gray pants. I don't think they wear those very often for their regular jerseys. And I like the numbers being like bigger and bolder than they are currently. Like their current uniforms have a lot thinner numbers, which I'm personally not a big fan of in general for college football, so I like that.
Awesome. You want to swing that over to Daniel?
I like these a lot. They look classic. I like black on black, and they did a really good job.
Okay, good deal. Davis, anything before we move on?
Not much else to add on it, but I will say I do like the glossy finish on the helmet. I do like how it looks overall, but I'm not a big fan of the middle number thing with the holes. I don't know. I don't know. It's not really doing
Seems
it.
like there's
Seems a little inconsistent.
Seems like there's a lot going on with these.
Yeah.
I think
too many moving parts, maybe.
If I may, I think they wanted to make it more throwback than it is, because it doesn't look so different from their current uniforms now. Like, not even with the logo. So I think that was their effort to try and say, hey, look at these. They're throwback, everybody, which I get why they did that. But I think that's probably why, because, again, in general, they don't look super throwback, because Texas Tech has not really changed their colors, and they haven't really changed the style of their uniforms. They do wear the black with the logo or with the name above the number and everything. Like, there's not much difference. So I think that's probably why.
I hope Texas Tech is fortunate enough to get to wear these in a night game, because nothing is more disappointing than bringing out your blackout jerseys and having to play at noon. I think A&M was on the wrong side of that deal a couple of years ago when they rolled out their matte black jerseys. All right, I think bandwagon chat went a little long, so we're going to have to punt over to the next segment. When Uniform Factor will continue with 4 more exciting uniforms. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Uniform Factor. You are listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I've got Alex, I've got Davis, I got Daniel, and I got Bay Marks hanging out with me in the studio. We'll be right back in about 2 minutes with some more Compact Discourse and Uniform Factor.
Your career isn't a job,
It's a journey. Your next job could lead to bigger things, and you're in charge of how fast and how far you want to go. At alabamaworks.com, you can connect with employers and start working right now. Then chart your path forward with training and career planning tools. But it's only the beginning. Start a great success story at alabamaworks.com.
Sponsored by Alabama Works, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
The Army National Guard is committed to keeping the country safe and our communities secure. Composed of hundreds of thousands of citizen soldiers from all walks of life and in every corner of America, the Guard is always ready to respond to local or national emergencies. The Army National Guard reacts to domestic operations in each of America's 54 states and territories, including Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Guam, and the District of Columbia. Each state National Guard's unique domestic role is to act as the first line of defense in support of civil authorities in their state. The Guard's emergency responses include search and rescue missions for floods, combating wildfires, hurricane and tornado recovery, and the presidential inauguration. The Army National Guard. We are always ready. We are always there. And in every state and territory, we stand guard for our communities. To learn more, log on to nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
COVID-19 changed everything, and good information has never been more important. There are jobs available right now. Get the facts about what it takes to get one and how you can take action. Use your time to get prepared for the job you need and the career you want. We'll all get through this with information and resources to be ready for what comes next. Your success story is our success story. Get started at alabamaworks.com.
WEGL.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Alex Husting, Bay Marks, Daniel Locke, and Davis Carroll. We got a full house hanging out in the studio this morning, and rightfully so, as we are jumping right back into uniform factor, plenty to get to, so we'll go right back into it. Let's kick things off with a little hockey. NHL season debuted on Tuesday, and the LA Kings have a new look for this season. Based off their 90s jerseys, back when Wayne Gretzky was a King. If you're watching our video live stream, WEGL on YouTube, you can check out what we're talking about in living color. Wayne Gretzky in the top right of our little graphic here today. These jerseys are not identical to what the Great One was wearing when he was suiting up for the Kings back in the day, but they are pretty similar, using the same logo and, you know, kind of silver-focused color scheme. This is back when hockey teams would wear white at home back in the 90s and 80s. So this might be, I don't know, they haven't exactly confirmed when they will be wearing these. It is just going to be an alternate third jersey for the Kings this year. So they might be wearing them at home as an homage to the great Wayne Gretzky teams of the 90s, but they might just be wearing them on the road as another road look. So they are white with black pants, black and silver socks, white gloves, which I think is an awesome touch. You got the numbers on just the upper shoulder, not quite where they were on the Wayne Gretzky jerseys. And then if you'll remember back from 2019, the Stadium Series that the LA Kings played against the Colorado Avalanche, they debuted a silver helmet. That silver helmet will be paired up with this jersey as well, a kind of, chrome dome helmet to bring this whole kind of throwback 90s under the lights look together. So on the bottom right of our graphic, we have a better look at that chrome helmet because it looks a little bit black in the promotional pictures that the Kings put out to promote these. So we'll have just a quick discussion about these, including, resident Kicking Ice man Daniel Locke. We'll probably get his take on these as well. All right, what do we think?
If I may, it says on the Uniswag website that they will be debuting them on November 17th. I don't know if you...
Okay.
But it says...
But, I mean, they'll be wearing them a lot.
15 times this season
Okay.
is what it says. But
Okay.
the debut will officially be November 17th against the Capitals. Also, if I may criticize just promotionally, showing off the chrome helmet in a very dark room where it appears black was a major miss. Again, I don't know where you do it to showcase it. I just... remember how great chrome helmets can look, like when Oregon pulled up with them in the Rose Bowl and the camera was like, look at the Rose Bowl reflected in the helmet. It was so cool. This is just not. I mean, I'm sure it's going to look cool, but I
Yeah.
can't tell that.
That's why I pulled out that extra picture to kind of get the idea across. White gloves, chrome helmets. Pretty cool look.
I agree.
I like these a lot. They bring back well, I wasn't alive for this obviously because it was in the '90s, but a Bruins moment where the LA Kings rolled in and the Bruins beat them 9-0, which is one of the biggest upsets in NHL history and biggest defeats in NHL history. So, it's funny to see these.
I just really think they look sleek overall. I'm interested in seeing the chrome helmets in a less dark room, like Alex mentioned. I think they'll look good overall, but issue with like shiny helmets like that, sometimes they don't have as good of a luster after playing a while because they get beat up, kind of scratched. Like, you remember the Fushigi balls as a kid?
Yeah.
I always wanted a Fushigi ball.
I had one. You dropped it once, it didn't work anymore.
Never the same.
It was just the fact it was a mirror. It looked like it was floating.
Yeah, I always wanted one of those.
They were cool, but they hurt if you dropped them on your foot. I'll tell you what.
I'd imagine that. Yes.
I think just like they flow really well. They're not too much, but they're also doing a lot with just a little bit. My only thing is, I mean, obviously I'm probably the least educated hockey guy in the room, but I feel like when I see a lot of hockey highlights and a lot of hockey teams playing on TV, especially with the white uniforms, it's kind of a trouble to try to make the colors that are on the white uniforms pop with that white ice. I feel like this combination of not even a gray, the silver with that black and white, especially with, like Jack mentioned, those white gloves, I think is a nice touch. I think these colors, especially with the way that they implemented them onto these white uniforms, I think they'll really pop on the ice, and I think they'll look really good for the Kings. So even though I'm not really a big hockey guy, I think they did a really good job with these. And I always loved this color scheme, the black and the gray and the white. It's a little tough to pull off, but you can do a lot of different things with it, and it can look really good.
All right, so that is going to do it for the LA Kings new throwback uniforms. They are adding this as an alternate third jersey for the 2021-2022 season. So keep an eye out for these, especially on November 17th when they get debuted against the Caps. All right, what's next? Oh, okay, it is the University of Utah's throwback uniforms that they debuted versus Southern California this past weekend. They actually won a game in Los Angeles for the first time in 106 years. Did the Utah Utes? So
wow!
Imbued with
That's
a
insane.
little bit of magic.
Factual.
That's what the headline said, and the media doesn't lie. So this is going to be it's a throwback version, a road version of a throwback that they have worn in the past. They have just worn it with red shirts, but they took this look on the road, and the losing streak is probably older than the look they are trying to go for here, as I think this is a throwback to the 80s for the Utah Utes. They go with the interlocking W logo, which on the helmet and on the shoulder. And we have the regular Under Armour logo, not the throwback Under Armour logo. And then these promotional photos look cool, but I think that I'm glad this game's already happened, because that photo I have in the bottom right of the uniforms in action with four of these guys kind of linking up to celebrate a touchdown is probably one of the cooler sports photos of the 2021 season so far. So these are the Utah Utes throwback uniforms in red and white.
I like them a lot. I think even just like overall aesthetically, the Utah Utes have had one of the better rebrandings of any teams in the past few years. People who remember earlier college football remember the Utah Utes' old logo was basically what the formerly Washington Redskins logo was, but just with a U in the middle, which honestly was kind of lazy in comparison to a lot of others. And they've kind of rebranded to just be the big U or the W as they have right here. And I really have always liked those logos better. And these, I just think they're really cool. I like the way the numbers look. I like the double U's on the shoulder pads as well as the helmets. Utah has had some good uniforms in the past. I think they're really, in terms of just appearance, they're trending in the right direction of standing out when having a relatively basic color scheme of just red and white. So I think it's pretty good. Anybody else?
I don't know why, but I get Wisconsin feels from these.
That's fair. I mean, same color scheme, more or less.
I will say I really like the number font.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the W on, the W on the helmet, it looks really good. But I really like the one on the shoulder pad.
Yeah,
I think that's a good touch. And I even really like, I guess that's a captain patch, the little C On you can see the guy I'm not sure if it's on. Yeah, the guy sitting down, but it was upwards of the 4. I think that's a really cool C. That's one thing that really stuck out to me.
Very Old West is the number font.
Big fan.
I don't even like. I mean, I understand it's like the throwback fontage for the number, but like that's the only thing that really throws me off with these uniforms. I do like and appreciate them. One thing I would be interested to see, especially because there is so much white, just to see what a white face mask would have looked like with these, especially popping like in Jack's bottom right picture on the live stream if you're watching live or later. I just would have been interested to see, just like Auburn did, to throw out a white face mask just to get a taste of what that feels like. But I think the red does do a good job of popping off that white helmet. But again, just a white face mask, I just want to see what that would look like.
All right, so let's jump on over to our next college football jersey, and that is the Space Shuttle uniforms for University of Central Florida. The Citronaut uniforms, if you don't know about that, very heavily tied was the University of Central Florida to the space program in the 1960s all the way up to the present, helping, right there next to the Space Coast of the Daytona Beach and Kennedy Space Center area. So these pay homage to the Space Shuttle missions. Color scheme extremely reminiscent of the Space Shuttle, right down to the backwards American flags and the word Citronauts running backwards across the helmet, kind of like United States of America would run backwards down a Saturn V rocket or across the Space Shuttle. You've also got the numbers are made up of effectively unit patches from and mission logs from the Space Shuttle missions. You've also got names of Space Shuttle astronauts on the helmet, which you can't really see, but trust me, they're there very faintly in kind of gray on the front of the helmet. And I think those are all there's also a Space Shuttle mission patch on the right shoulder pad, backwards American flag on the left shoulder pad, and a awesome chrome face mask to boot on this one. These are super cool.
What is on the hip on the front? What is the little logo right there?
That is the Citronaut himself. It was kind of like a 1940s cartoon man that was the symbol of UCF's interaction with the space program.
Yeah, these are awesome. I mean, this is again part of rebranding your team and expanding your program is how can you make your team stand out. Like the Oregon maneuver of just having all these uniforms is really what helped build the program in part, and UCF I think knows that, and they're well aware of that. And not to mention picking a uniform style that very much ties to the university's history is also pretty cool. This is just it's awesome. I really like the different mission like dates in the numbers. That's just really cool and unique. I like when teams will take smaller things like that and make even that a little difference. That's cool. Yeah, they're great. That's all I gotta say.
I adore these. Everything about them. I think if you're gonna make a uniform paying homage to a history within the school, I think it's the best way to do it. Instead of like kind of copying it out, just putting one thing on it. They put everything. They let it known about their history, and they put a lot of interesting things on it. There's so many things you can look at and just keep looking at it. And then it has the little Citronaut logo down there to something else. Has all the names of the astronauts on the helmet, which I really like. It's the astronauts, correct? Not
on the helmet, yeah. And then the missions are the numbers.
Yeah, I really enjoy the names of all of them. You can probably I can't tell by looking at the picture, but yeah, I love it. Really cool. And I think the chrome face mask and even kind of the chrome UCF logo on the side.
That's my favorite part.
Nice touches as well. I've never actually seen a chrome face mask on a helmet.
So do y'all remember like in high school and in middle school when you were in English class and you were reading some sort of piece of like literature and you were supposed to look for like that underlying meaning or just different things within the world of your middle school and high school English class?
Yes, my teacher said if the curtains were blue, the character was sad. Yes.
Yeah, stuff like that. So I think a very subtle message. So obviously with the American flag being on that shoulder cap, a lot of people don't know a reason why there's always, not just because it's America's, but a reason why, especially during the race to space and all that stuff back during the 60s and 70s with Russia and the Soviet Union or all the other countries over there in Europe, the United States wanted to take great pride in being one of the first countries to orbit beyond the moon, just stuff like that in their different space missions. I think it's a subtle touch to pay homage and honorage to the people back then and kind of to continue that theme of America first, America innovation, America being one of the first countries to innovate and look towards the future and not be afraid of the future in that sense. So I think that's just a slight touch. I know that's not why it's put on there, but I think it's important that they included that on there because that's what the space program did back in the late 20th century.
I think you're completely right because I think, that may not be the sole reason, but you also could very easily not have it on there at all. I mean, in the grand scheme, the uniform has so many things going on. A U.S. flag on it, whether or not, would not have made or break the uniforms, but the choice to keep it on there, I think that's a very good point. Yeah.
All right, and that's going to do it for University of Central Florida's new space uniforms. They roll out a new one every year. They've been hit or miss in the past, if you ask me, but I think hit out of the park for UCF. All right, we have to head to our 9 o'clock break, but when we come back, we're going to have to talk about it. Something happened in Neyland Stadium on Saturday.
Oh,
and,
no.
We're going to have to address it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it did happen. So Neyland Stadium coming up. If you know what's coming, get ready. We'll be back in about 3 or 4 minutes with some more Compact Discourse. Don't go anywhere. The thrilling conclusion of Uniform Factor on the other side of this break. We will be right back.
Skilled trade workers are the backbone of every community and also the Army National Guard. Soldiers trained to keep the power flowing, engines running, and in every other trade needed to accomplish the mission. These soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Tossing food wrappers and soda cups can be expensive. That $7.99 value meal you threw out the window could cost you $500 in fines. And if you don't learn your lesson the first time, a second fine will cost you $1,000. Put garbage in its place. Throw away your trash, not your cash. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
You can beat your toughest opponent. You can beat your best time in the mile. You can beat that old largemouth bass. But one thing you should never try and beat is a train. If a train is approaching, don't risk your life trying to beat it, because beating the train is a deadly game. Drive safe, Alabama. Sponsored by ALDOT, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
All across the nation, we are here for our communities.
We're doing our part to get supplies where it's needed in order to fight COVID-19 together.
It feels good to be out there to assist our community.
I would like our friends and family to know that your National Guardsmen are always ready and always there.
Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
It's the top of the hour, about 9 a.m., and you're still listening to WEGL 91.1 FM. Well, you made it this far. Go get yourself a cup of coffee. You've earned it.
But I really need a cup of joe, and if I don't get one, I think I might blow a gasket, and it's not a pretty sight.
We'll be right back in a few minutes with the second half of the show. Thank you so much for listening to Compact Discourse.
If you're a single man under the age of 35, you'd probably like to know what the ladies are looking for on an online dating site. A guy who had a few drinks and later got pulled over for buzzed driving. See, that could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And doesn't a guy who's back living with his parents but calls them my roommates just scream Mr. Right?
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will we listen to? Jeffrey.
Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here?
You're getting older.
Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this. Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me.
Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov.
She didn't say goodbye. I mean, I would have.
Visit brainhealth.gov.
Hey, Russell Wilson here, and I know how important exercise is.
It's essential. It's essential.
With Play 60, United Way and the NFL are helping kids stay active and play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids. Healthy kids.
But what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60 because great things happen when we live united.
Donate.
Are you guys gonna do that every time?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
91.1 WEGL FM, Auburn University.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Harr, joined alongside Alex Houston, Davis Carroll, Bay Marks, and Daniel Locke. Welcome you into the show. Thank you for spending your Thursday morning with us right here on the Big 91 WEGL 91.1 FM. We're broadcasting live from the Harold Melton Student Center here on the campus of Auburn University, where it is a beautiful fall day outside, so go out and enjoy the weather if you haven't already. Get ready for an awesome weekend of sports, including the Auburn Tigers traveling to Fayetteville to take on the Razorbacks of Arkansas at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. So be sure to check that one out if you are a true Auburn Tiger fan. All right, we want to remind you that you can follow the station on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at WEGL_AU. Check it out if you want to see some high-quality content from our lovely marketing team. They are working super hard to get you all the information about WEGL events, as well as just super fun content to check out over on TikTok. There's plenty of stuff there. You can follow us on Twitter as well at CDiscAU, at CDISCAU. And we've also got some awesome shows as part of the WEGL Sports Network, including the one and only Scoreboard. That is WEGL's longest-running sports show. You remember the name of that one, don't you? It's the longest-running sports show on WEGL. All right. The Scoreboard is going to be today at 2 p.m. And if you want to listen to it live, you can also listen to the podcast, however you get your podcast, same as Compact Discourse. We've also got Kicking Ice was recorded on Tuesday, Auburn's premier hockey podcast. This is WEGL Sports, where every game lives, including hockey. So Kicking Ice with Daniel and Eamon, that is available as a podcast as well. You can also listen to it live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2 p.m., great sports on WEGL. We've also got, Behind the Glass coming up.
That's right.
It comes out on Friday.
Yep.
Do you want to tell us a little about that, Davis?
Yeah, so this week, this October, so we're obviously going to be doing some scary movies.
Yes.
This week we did Ari Aster, we did Midsummer and Hereditary.
Scary movies.
Next week we're going to be doing the classic 90s Scooby-Doo movies. I'm sure all of us have seen at least two of them.
Those are which Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, and Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Yep, we're going to be talking about those.
I grew up with all those.
The impact they had, the reason they made them. Hint, Hanna-Barbera was having some trouble wanting to get back in the Scooby-Doo game with some big movies to get the hype back up. And if they're anime, we'll have a debate about that.
Ooh, that's interesting. And then we'll wrap up the spooky season with John Carpenter's The Thing, and then also simultaneously John Carpenter's Halloween.
And then Hocus Pocus.
No.
Yes. We will be ending with Hocus Pocus on Behind the... What's it called, Jack?
Behind the Hedges.
There it is.
All right. I teased it on the other side of the break.
I'm
but
so excited.
I think it's about time to continue Uniform Factor with the thrilling conclusion. And I think we're going to have to reserve the final 6 minutes of this segment to talking about it. And that is University of Tennessee, Knoxville brought back the dark mode uniforms as an homage back to 2009 when Lane Kiffin was the head coach of the Vols. He said he would never change the uniform. And then the next week, Tennessee comes out in these black practice jerseys against University of South Carolina with orange pants and white helmets. And they figured, you know what? Lane Kiffin's killing it at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is coming to town next week. let's against South Carolina for our day game wear these awesome black jerseys that they have rolled out. Not really anything like the black jerseys they wore back in 2009, but black jerseys to boot. The only thing they have in common is that they have orange numbering and a white helmet, which is a bold choice if you're going to have a blackout jersey to keep the helmet white. They've added a orange and black stripe on the top of the helmet. The outlined the block tee with black and a black face mask, black shirts and pants with orange trim and numbers, no white piping at all to separate the orange and black, or the orange and black. So these are what Nike and Tennessee have decided to wear, and they wore them in their big win against South Carolina last Saturday.
I hate these for so many reasons.
I also
now,
hate them.
if I may, mine is not even a matter of principle. It's not about the aesthetic appearance, because you specifically mentioned how there's no white lining on the numbers. I particularly like Tennessee's more recent turn towards having no lining on the numbers at all. I honestly think it looks better than how it used to, because I think lining kind of looks very early 2000s-esque, because that's how all the jerseys look. Now, my biggest beef is universities with horrible color schemes just inventing new colors. Like, I hated the gray jerseys, and I hate these more. Auburn's not just going to show up in black because it looks cool. We certainly all could show up in black for a night game against Ole Miss wearing black jerseys and all, but we're not going to do that because that's stupid.
It's not one of our colors.
That's just picking a color you think, ooh, this looks kind of cool. First of all, Tennessee's color scheme is not terrible, in my opinion. It's not the best color scheme in the SEC.
Looked like a garbage truck man convention, if you know that joke.
But I don't like this at all, because I think it's just very much picking a color that they think looks cool, even though it has nothing to do with the University of Tennessee. It's very much like, especially with older programs, that's what's very cool about the history of teams, the fact that they haven't changed. Auburn and Alabama, for example, have pretty much kept jerseys within, one, their color schemes, and two, rarely, if ever, change them. Auburn's had a couple variations, but it's not been, they haven't picked purple. They wore orange because, shockingly, orange is one of the three colors that Auburn has. But no, Tennessee's like, gray looks kind of cool. First of all, the gray sucked worse than this, but this, I still don't like it. It's just lazy. Come up with something creative within your own color scheme. Don't just invent a color. Like, it's Auburn could just as easily pick random ones to go with, but they don't. So could half the SEC. So yeah,
calm down over there, Alex.
What? It's stupid, and I don't like it.
This is going to be an unpopular take.
I
don't hate them.
Well, I do, because they're literally the Senior Bowl jerseys. They're the carbon copy of the Senior Bowl uniforms.
They are, actually. They're terrible.
No qualms about it. It is the exact same.
We found out this was a psyop by Reese's.
Look at this. That is the same. The exact same.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
No difference.
Point taken.
Keep the jersey on the right.
That's the old one, Alex. I'm looking at the 2021, which is the same number and everything.
2021 is bad, yeah.
He mentioned the gray jerseys. I'd rather them wear the smoky gray jerseys than
At least that had a reason.
Yeah,
the Smoky Mountains.
Okay,
Smoky Rocky
yes.
top.
I'd forgotten
those are bad too.
I don't like them,
but I'd rather them wear.
At least there's a connection other than black looks cool, because they act like they cherish the Lane Kiffin era. Like, ooh, let's throw it back to the Lane Kiffin era. Tennessee fans hated him about as much as he hated that place because he left.
Come to the sip. I don't like them either. There's just, like Alex has obviously been saying, they're not a part of their colors. But even if you are going to try and pull off a black, at least put some piping or outlineage around the numbers, or some white alongside the side of the pants, or something of the sort to give it some sort of definition. These kind of just, they look like they were slabbed on top of the black, and it doesn't pop.
I think I could sit with these if the helmet was black.
The helmet being white is
the helmet kind of looks like you really copied Oklahoma State's homework. I could sit with them if the pants were white and they had the same stripe as the helmet has. But the fact that they've kind of gone halfway in both directions just doesn't provide a good look for my eyes.
See, and you mentioned that about teams using colors. That's something, and this is off track because you mentioned Alabama. It made me think about it. Alabama always wears black cleats and black socks, and Auburn did that back in the mid to early 2000s, into the Tommy Tuberville era, which is something that I don't really appreciate either. I think I'd really much rather see Alabama wear a white or a red or even gray. Alabama has gray in their color scheme.
They do.
Never use gray.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like teams using colors that aren't traditionally in their color scheme either, unless they're doing a complete rebrand.
Because it's just easy. Like you could pick any colors on the rainbow, smash them together, and say this is our new uniforms, even though it has nothing to do with the university. It's so lazy. Like there's no creativity that comes with it.
Only team that's allowed to do that is the Rainbow Warriors.
Exactly. But like for example, Tennessee with their, I mean, they got 3 colors. The gray, I'm fine with the gray being involved because of the whole smoky gray thing. But they got white and they've got orange. I'm sure they could figure out something, some odd checkerboard design that shows up more on the uniform than it does. Honestly, would have been more fine with that, even if it looks terrible, because it's original and it goes with their colors. You know, if they did an all white jersey and then the numbers were actually checkerboard inside of it rather than just blocked numbers.
What if they had like dog uniforms?
That
like
also
Florida's Gator uniforms.
Like that's not.
Those are disgusting.
Okay, that would look horrible. But again, at least it's something that is exclusive to the university.
Take notes, Nike,
and not something they just were like, "Ooh, black looks kind of cool." And again, it's also just terrible from an aesthetic standpoint because the helmet is white, which I think completely ruins the whole thing. It's like
you can't say dark mode activated and then show up in white helmets.
It's like Oregon rocking the Stormtrooper uniforms, then pulling out with a green helmet and saying, "Yes, the Stormtrooper uniforms." Like I just think it's stupid in my opinion. I really don't like it. It's lazy.
My goodness, really struck a nerve with him today.
All right, I think we're gonna have to call it. I think we could spend another hour talking about these, but we will have to head to a quick break and conclude our discussion on the Tennessee Vols black uniforms. If you would like to see all the uniforms that we talked about over the past 45 minutes, you can watch our video live stream on YouTube. You can also go to uniswag.com. That's where I get all of the pictures. But they're also available on the team's respective social media pages. So pretty easy to find, but that's what we were talking about for the past little while. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2 minutes to continue our discussion. We'll preview some big games coming up this weekend in both NFL and college football. We'll be back in about 2 minutes with some more Compact Discourse.
Fire threatens everything in its path. When it threatens our nation and our communities, we respond. We bring the fight to the front line. The Army National Guard stands ready to face the dangers of Mother Nature and protect our homes and our neighbors. We will always be there when your community needs us the most. Discover more about all the ways you can serve part-time in your community by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Alabama's companies know people need to feel safe at work. That's why Alabama Works has partnered with agencies across the state to provide access to everything from CDC guidelines to the latest in on-the-job safety innovations. At alabamaworks.com, you're one click away from what you need to know to get to work safely. Work safe, be safe. Your new success story is at alabamaworks.com.
Sponsored by Alabama Works, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Alabama veterans. Are you aware that because of your military service, you may have earned VA benefits? The Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs can help you access those benefits at no cost to you, even during COVID-19 when other resources might be hard to find. The Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs has an office near you. For more information, go to va.alabama.gov or give us a call at 334-242-5077. We're open and ready to serve you. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs, the ABA, and this station.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my community and those I care about safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
FM 91. The Mike Lee Morning Show.
WEGL Auburn.
It's the top of the hour, about 9 a.m.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Daniel Locke and Alex Houston, welcoming you in to the second half of the show. It is 9:19 in the morning here we have not done your weather report yet, as we got into a spirited debate regarding uniforms, the Astros. Take your pick. You can listen to the podcast if you want to get the full breadth of that discussion, if you dare. It is 70 degrees right now on the plains, high of 83 today with a low of 62. Very low chance of rain throughout the entire day, so probably won't need that raincoat or umbrella as you head out into class or work today. Partly cloudy this afternoon, about an 81-degree afternoon we are expecting, and it's going to cool off once again, as it has for about the past week, to 64 degrees this evening as the clouds roll in. We are looking at a waxing gibbous, so very much approaching a full moon by the end of the month. 87% humidity today. Winds are going to be light and variable. Sun is going to set at 6:09 p.m. If you want to stand on top of the Haley Center, you got 10 miles of visibility in all directions. How about that? All right, and that is going to be your Auburn weather report. So we're going to jump right back into the show, and we're going to talk about what is coming up this weekend in college football. Plenty of good games, including tonight. We've got Navy at Memphis, 6:30 p.m. on ESPN. That one is at 6:30. We got Georgia Southern at South Alabama, Sun Belt matchup.
Oh, gosh.
6:30 p.m. That one's on ESPNU. We've also got a big slate of games on Friday as well. That's how you know we're getting to the heart of the season, is that we got big games on Friday.
Indeed.
We got Marshall at North Texas, Conference USA matchup, 6 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. That one is at North Texas. Clemson at Syracuse. Now, that one could go either way, believe it or not, as
Clemson is bad, and Syracuse is also bad.
Yes, and that one is in the Carrier Dome, where Clemson has had a,
problem.
That's a house of horrors for the Clemson Tigers.
Yeah. Going to be pulling for the orange in that one.
Yes, absolutely. And then Cal Berkeley, the Bears of Cal, will be taking on in Autzen Stadium the number 9 Oregon Ducks. That one is at 9:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. If you would like to watch that one, that's coming on right after Clemson at Syracuse, so a college football doubleheader on the Entertainment Sports Network. We've also got San Diego State kicking off at San Jose State. Number 24, San Diego State, I believe, still undefeated.
They are.
That one is going to be at 9:30 Central Time in San Jose, California. That one, you can watch that one on CBS Sports Network. All right, Saturday. Plenty of great games to get to. We'll just start with the 11 a.m. games. UCF at number 3, Cincinnati. That one's on ABC. That's the ABC game at 11. Number 10, Michigan State will be playing Indiana. Trap game, question mark?
Yes.
Oklahoma State, number 12. My favorite to win the Big 12, if you didn't hear it from me, though, they were playing number 25, Texas Longhorns in DKR. Auburn, of course, will be playing Arkansas on CBS at 11 a.m., CBS doubleheader. You've also got Florida at LSU. That's number 20, Florida. That is your first ESPN game. That one's at 11 on ESPN in Tiger Stadium. Number 21, Texas A&M is on the road in Memorial Stadium, Faro Field, Columbia, Missouri. They're taking on the Tigers of Mizzou. That one is on the SEC Network if you want to watch A&M at Mizzou. Nebraska and Minnesota. Ooh, that one can go either way as well. ESPN2 if you want to watch the Huskers take on the Gophers. Rutgers at Northwestern, and that one is at 11 a.m. on the Big Ten Network. That's your big noon kickoff game. You've got, poor UConn will be hosting the Bulldogs of Yale.
They're so bad.
Will UConn beat Yale?
I mean, honestly, if it was at the Yale Bowl, I would have picked Yale. But with this in mind, I think UConn gets the win in a close one. I imagine a game-winning field goal will be the deciding moment.
East Hartford will be rocking after UConn hopefully gets a win over the Bulldogs of Yale.
I mean, cars will be turned over, fires started for the tens of fans that UConn has left.
In-state rival, Yale Bulldogs. All right, we've got Tulsa taking on South Florida, American Conference matchup.
Which, sorry, if I may interrupt very briefly.
Please interrupt.
On that, apparently, according to Brett McMurphy, the Conference USA has proposed a combining of the conferences between the Conference USA and the American Athletic Conference. The American apparently said no.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. That's like, like Canada proposing that it joins with the United States.
So the idea was the group of fives want to band together and try and, basically take so much of the Americans' top performers, Cincinnati, combine it with the sort of Maction level chaos that the Conference USA presents. But the American has said no. But
yeah, there's
the problem is that I think they're worried that the American is worried their talent is being leached by other conferences in the near future.
There's nothing to gain for the American in that scenario.
Except more teams, as they probably will start to lose some more. But we'll see what happens. Just wanted to update that.
I guess that makes sense. A couple of them are being poached over to Big 12, apparently.
Exactly.
All right.
They may already have plans in place for other teams to join.
Reckon so. All right. Ohio at Buffalo in some action, like you mentioned. That's at 11 a.m. Duke at Virginia as we continue to see the ACC fall apart. Those two teams could be in Charlotte at the end of the season, believe it or not. So that's a critical game, however it may appear.
Everybody controls their destiny in the ACC.
All right, let's move on to your 1 p.m. Two games are going to kick off in the 1 p.m. slot, Ball State and Eastern Michigan, and Akron at Miami of Ohio. Some action for you there. Let's move on to 2 p.m., Troy at Texas State in a Sun Belt showdown. Here's a top 10 matchup, almost. The number 11 Kentucky Wildcats will be taking on the number 1 in the country, Georgia Bulldogs. That one is coming on after the Auburn game. So if you're watching the Auburn game, keep it right there on CBS to watch number 11 Kentucky play number 1 Georgia in Athens. You got Purdue taking on number 2 in the country, Iowa. That's the ABC game coming on after Cincinnati. So ABC has scored the number 3 team and the number 2 team back-to-back on Saturday. Number 19 BYU will be playing at Baylor. Interesting non-con game for the Bears. Western Kentucky at ODU. UAB will be traveling to Hattiesburg to take on Southern Miss at 2:30 p.m. Miami at North Carolina, and another game that has big championship game implications for the ACC, as well as Pitt at Virginia Tech. You got Toledo at Central Michigan, Bowling Green versus Northern Illinois. Kent State plays Western Michigan, all at 2:30 p.m. Arizona at Colorado. That is going to be in Boulder. You got Fresno at Wyoming. Vanderbilt at South Carolina. Two hapless SEC teams will be squaring off at 3 p.m. in Columbia. Texas Tech at Kansas, a potential Kansas win, believe it or not, as Texas Tech has been struggling mightily so far. Rice at UTSA on ESPN Plus in the Alamo Dome. All right, here's one. Alabama, coming off their first loss of the season, will be taking out all of their frustration in the first 6 p.m. game. You can watch it live on ESPN, Davis Wade Stadium, Starkville, Mississippi, as Alabama takes on Mississippi State at 6 p.m. on Saturday.
It's going to be a bloodbath, but if Mike Leach is going to beat Alabama, now would be the time to do it. Because I
wouldn't,
mean,
and talk about flipping cars over.
Exactly. I mean, Davis Wade is the only place that Mississippi State stands a chance against Alabama, and I mean, which version of a Nick Saban alpha loss team do we get? Do we get the team that looks to be a mess following the loss, which has only happened like once, right? Or do we get the team that's like, all right, we're going to drop 70 on these fools in the first half, which is what they've done before. So,
all right, moving on. Yeah, what you got, Daniel?
I'm just glad I'm not a Bulldogs fan. That's all I've got to say on that.
I mean, I'm glad every day, but especially on Saturday. I'm glad that I'm not a Bulldogs fan.
True.
Moving on, we got Liberty at UL Monroe. That's at 6 on ESPN Plus. Colorado State at New Mexico, not televised. So good luck watching that one. You got Utah State at the Running Rebels of UNLV on CBS Sports. TCU at Oklahoma will be the third game on ABC on Saturday. That one is in Oklahoma. Ole Miss travels to take on Tennessee. Lane Kiffin homecoming on the SEC network. Number 22, NC State, still undefeated. They will be playing Boston College on the ACC network up in Chestnut Hill. Iowa State, falling off their rocker, will be taking on Kansas State in a good old-fashioned Big 12 rivalry, 6:30 p.m. on ESPN2. Some Pac-12 before dark, Stanford at Washington State, 6:30 p.m. on ESPNU. Army will be playing Wisconsin on the Big Ten Network. UCLA will be taking on Washington at 7:30 on Fox. You got La Tech will be going to UTEP to play the Miners of UTEP, 8 p.m. ESPN Plus. Air Force and Boise State, 8 p.m. Fox Sports 1. Pac-12 After Dark now. We've got Arizona State at the Utes of Utah. They will be playing at 9 p.m. That's number 18 Arizona State in Rice-Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City. That game will be on ESPN under the lights. And then your final game of the night, 9:30 p.m. Mountain West showdown between the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii and the Nevada Wolfpack. That one's at 9:30 on the CBS Sports Network. And that's going to be your college football scoreboard for Saturday. That is your watching guide. And I think on the other side of a break, we will break down the most interesting matchups, how we think they're going to go, and what you should be watching on Saturday. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2 minutes with some more Compact Discourse and some college football chat. We'll be back in about 2 minutes once again, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL_AU. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at WEGL_AU on all three of those platforms. You can listen to our podcast as well. Just search for Compact Discourse on your podcast player of choice. It gets uploaded absolutely PSA break free every day after the show, so you don't want to miss it. We'll be back pretty soon with some more Compact Discourse. I've got Alex, I've got Daniel. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. Good morning, Auburn, and whoever is out there listening today, whether that be on your terrestrial radio, 91.1 FM is the frequency, or you are listening to our web live stream, weglfm.com. We thank you for doing so. If you want to head on over to the website, weglfm.com, and check it out. Pretty cool. It's got a listen live button. It's the boombox right there on the front page next to the schedule. You can listen to whatever is playing on WEGL 24 hours a day. We've also got a rolling banner at the top of the screen with all of the exciting shows we got coming up on the station today. We got plenty of good shows today. We got at noon, we got Birds Aren't Real with Rio. That is an awesome show about music conspiracy theories with some music drumped in with that one. We got the Beat Drop coming up at 1 p.m. Scoreboard is at 2. The Eagle's Nest is at 3 p.m. Check that one out with our very own Daniel Locke. At 5 p.m., you got Life at 33 RPM. That has got some great music you probably had never heard before. That one's at 5 p.m. Walker Green's show is at 6 p.m. And then at 7 p.m., you got the one and only Moonlight Madness with Jacob Goins, and that's a sports show. So basically, you got the rock. We're going to have 2 hours of rock music after Compact Discourse today, as always. No DJP, sadly, but he's curated the playlist from afar, so you're going to hear some good stuff regardless. So 2 hours of rock music after Compact Discourse, and then basically 8 straight hours of awesome WEGL shows, from sports to music to stuff you've never heard before. So keep that dial right here on WEGL from 8 a.m. all the way to 8 p.m. today. We have just a stellar lineup. I know I talk a lot about WEGL Wednesdays as a great lineup of shows, but WEGL Thursdays might be even better. I'm just a little biased towards Wednesdays, if I'm being honest with you. All right, we're going to jump right back into things here on WEGL. We've got college football to talk about, and we will start off with the games coming up tomorrow. There is a game tonight, but it is 2 games tonight. It is Navy and Memphis and South Alabama and Georgia Southern. Neither of those teams are ranked, so we will jump on over to Friday, where the California Golden Bears will be taking on the Ducks of Oregon, who are number 9 in the land. They're 1-1 in Pac-12 play with a 4-1 overall record. Oregon is favored by 13.5 points in this one, with an over-under at 54. Chase Garbers is your leading passer in this game. He is 107 of 170 for 1,200 yards and 7 tutties on the year. Your rushing leader is C.J. Verdell out of the Ducks of Oregon. He's got 78 carries for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. So, does Oregon stand any chance of dropping this one tonight, gents?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, that's why they play the games.
Do you see the spread?
I did see the spread. It's 13.5.
Yeah.
Eesh.
All right, we'll move on to a game that is a potential for a ranked team to lose, and I believe that is San Diego State heading to the Spartans. It's going to be the Aztecs versus the Spartans. The San Jose State will be hosting the Aztecs tonight. The undefeated Aztecs, or tomorrow night, rather, will be playing in San Jose. They are only favored by 9 points, and the better quarterback, I think, is lining up for San Jose. That's Nick Starkel. He's almost passed for 1,000 yards already and 6 touchdowns so far in their 6 games. San Jose State is 3-3, 1-1 in conference. San Diego State remains undefeated.
I believe in San Diego State. I think, they've got some huge wins in the past, particularly the win over Utah was massive. And then they've been really good this year. Shout out Brady Hoke, who is once again in head coaching. He seems to be the type of guy that will probably stick at the Group of 5 level for the remainder of his career. I'm not sure if he'll try and go back to the Big Ten. But
why would you?
Honestly, it's a good question. I'm going to go with San Diego State on this one. I think, right now, I think next week's game against Air Force is the trap game, as they'll probably be looking ahead to Fresno State. But right now, I think their mind is on San Jose State and on getting a win, because as the schedule and the year winds down, will San Diego State fit into that Group of 5 New Year's 6 bowl spot? I don't know. It depends on what happens with Cincinnati and the teams ahead of them. But it's certainly an opportunity. BYU has already lost, of course. So just something to keep an eye on. But I think they're going to win this game. I think it's a good football team that right now the biggest roadblocks are Fresno State and Boise State, but those are both home games for them, including, according to this, a 9:30 a.m. kick against Boise State on November 26th. Which
is that game in London?
No, it's at Dignity Health Sports Park, Carson, California. Maybe that's 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Which I don't know.
That would make it 7:30 for them.
Okay, yeah, you're actually right. You're right. That doesn't make any sense.
Poor guys.
Is that
well? So if it's 9:30 a.m. their time, then it's 11:30 Central Time.
What do you even eat for breakfast if you have to play at 9:30?
A Pop-Tart at 7. I don't know. But yeah, I think they'll win this game. I think there are other roadblocks in the future, but right now they've got their eyes set on this San Jose State team and getting a big win to continue their streak.
Bro, but can you imagine how early you'd have to get that day started if you played at 9:30?
9:30.
Yes,
you're up at 3.
That's
probably.
bad. That's
you're up
bad.
at 3 eating pasta and boiled chicken.
But I'm very excited also for San Jose San Diego State building their new stadium after Qualcomm was torn down. Very exciting to see that program get a sort of a facelift with that new stadium.
Where are they playing in the meantime?
They're currently playing at the same place that the Chargers played at, Dignity Health Sports Park.
The soccer stadium?
Yes, formerly known as Home Depot Center and the StubHub Center.
Ah, yes.
Now it's Dignity Health Sports Park.
The Chiefs' home game.
Yes, the Chiefs, Steelers, you name it, they were there.
All right, UCF on Saturday is the first game. Nippert Stadium, Cincinnati, Ohio, is the location. Desmond Ridder will be going to improve on his 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns so far on the season. Cincinnati favored in this one by 21.
Yes, I think it's important to mention in this regard, Mackenzie Milton, current quarterback for Florida State, says he doesn't believe Cincinnati could beat 2017 UCF, 2017 USF, and 2017 Memphis. He believes those three teams are all better than Cincinnati. He also said, quote, USF and Memphis were tougher opponents than Auburn was for 2017 UCF.
I'm sorry, Alex. The look on Jack Hart's face a second ago said it all.
Mackenzie Milton, yeah, he said that, and I want to pull up the official tweet so I can quote him directly because I would not want to be wrong in any way. I just totally typed his name in wrong, which is not going to get me his actual name. 1 second.
Yeah, so Alec Pierce is your leading receiver for the Bearcats. He has 21 receptions for 387 and 2 touchdowns. And Jerome Ford is your leading rusher for the Bearcats, 82 for 520 and 8 touchdowns to boot. And that one is UCF has a 3-2 record so far. They've already lost a conference game. Cincinnati has just played in one conference game, and they want it to continue their 5-0 campaign, looking to improve to 6-0 at 11 a.m. Central Time on Saturday.
Yeah, I had to share that because I'd seen that yesterday. But I think Cincinnati's got this one in the bag against UCF.
So a team a lot of people are not talking about is Michigan State, who is kind of getting boxed out by the likes of Michigan, Ohio, and Penn State in the Big Ten East. Not kind of an afterthought at this point, and I think Vegas agrees because number 10 Michigan State already have won 3 conference games in the Big Ten, are only favored by 4.5 when they travel to Bloomington to take on the 2-3 Indiana, who is winless in conference play.
Indiana's definitely had a tough year this season after last year's bright moment. I would call it that, and I don't see them riding the ship anytime soon. I think last year was a good step in the right direction, but the rebuild is going to take longer than that. So I got to take Michigan State.
We've got Oklahoma State 5-0, 2-0 in Big 12 play. They are traveling to DKR to take on Texas, who is coming off a big loss to Oklahoma last weekend. They are 2-1 in Big 12 play with a 4-2 overall record. Your leading passer in this one is Casey Thompson, Texas quarterback. He is 74 for 110, about 1,100 passing yards, and 14 touchdowns.
Wow.
5-point Texas favored in this one, over-under at 60. Expect a lot of points.
Look, I don't know how Texas wins this game, to be honest. I think it's certainly a roadblock in DKR, but they are ice cold coming off an absolute dud. The worst loss in Texas history, technically. If you look at it in the way, the fact they gave up a 21-point lead, the largest lead they've ever given up in history. That is a 125-year history for that matter. I don't know how you get this team motivated to play against a good Oklahoma State team, an Oklahoma State team that has everything in front of them. They have a home game against Oklahoma. They got Bedlam at Stillwater, an opportunity to win the Big 12. Of course, they've got a lot of steps to get there, including a win in Ames, Iowa the next week. But I don't see how Texas wins this game. Do I believe Texas is the better football team? Maybe, but their performance against Oklahoma was pathetic. And I find it difficult for them to bounce back this week against a good Oklahoma State team.
You know, anyone who listens to the Eagles Nest knows that we rock with Spencer Sanders, and I think he gets it done.
Definitely.
Good deal. All right, game of the week for us, Auburn University traveling over to Fayetteville to play the number 17 ranked Arkansas Razorbacks. KJ Jefferson, your leading passer in this one, 1,200 yards for 9 touchdowns. Leading rusher, Jarquez Hunter, 47 for 465 and 3 house calls. Arkansas favored in this one by 4.5.
This is the difference between an 8-4 season and a 6-6 season for Auburn, because South Carolina and Mississippi State are both certainly winnable games down the road. That, my opinion, will not change on that unless they get completely slaughtered this Saturday, which I don't think they will. But This right now is the difference between if they win this game, then you got 2 weeks to prepare for a home game, possibly a night game against Ole Miss, a chance to win that one. Then you got to go to College Station. There's a lot more ahead of them. But if they look bad again this week and the offense shows no progress, looking at you, wide receiver group, as bad as you've been, and not to mention, Jack, we talked about on Monday, you don't like to use the transitive property in football. Nobody does. But this is not a transitive property in the point that Arkansas has no run defense. It's not one bad running game like LSU against Kentucky. Georgia and Ole Miss ran all over the Razorbacks back-to-back weeks. Ole Miss, I think, had 390 yards rushing, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere in the 300 range at least. Auburn needs to run the football, and I think that's why this game is a benchmark, not for just can you win the game, can you establish the run. Harsin said he wants to do that every single week. Can they do it against a bad rush defense, and can they win this game? Because this is definitely, I would say, the crossroads between Birmingham Bowl and the Gator Bowl, the Outback Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean, legitimately, that's which is not by no means a low tier game, and especially with the way the SEC is structured. I mean, go even higher due to how the SEC might get 2 teams in the year 6. You don't know, but this is a crucial game for Auburn and for the Brian Harsin era to start the season, or to start off with the first season and make some progress. But that's definitely where I see. And do I think Auburn wins? I don't know. Arkansas's looked bad these past few weeks, to be honest. No run defense. I don't think their offense is as great as a lot of people think it is.
Mm-hmm.
So Auburn has a chance to win this game, but they've got to show progress. The offensive line has to show progress and look like they can actually block people running the football, and the wide receivers need to do their jobs.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet.
The defense needs to show up as well, because
True.
if you can take a team that scored with ease last week, put up 51, could have easily beaten an Ole Miss team off a 2-point conversion, and you hold them to 10 points in the first half, they're going to get frustrated and they're going to get out of sync. I mean, you can't come in being used to scoring 50, and they've scored a lot of points in the past few weeks, and shut them down. They're going to have to. They're going to be uncomfortable. And they're going to be off kilter, and you have to use that to your advantage. And hopefully force some turnovers.
And I think the key is the offense cannot leave the defense out to dry like it did against Georgia. A lot of defensive stops returned with 3 and outs for Auburn. And I think Arkansas is going to be attacking the big plays because that's what Auburn cannot stop. Because Auburn has faced the realization I think a lot of fans have faced. None of their cornerbacks can stop a guy one-on-one, so they cannot blitz. And that's where Georgia's score was on the big plays last week. So stopping that will be the key for the Auburn defense, and the Auburn offense showing up as well.
If you want to use Georgia as like a comparing point, Auburn played Georgia a lot tougher than Arkansas did.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
They scored on them. So if you just want to go with that, I think Auburn gets it done.
Auburn gets it done, according to Daniel. All right, 2 minutes. We will be back for the final segment of the show today and the final segment of the week. No telling what will be discussed on the other side of this break, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. We are not the Mike Lee Morning Show, unfortunately, but we are Compact Discourse. Those vintage station IDs brought to you by archive.org. We are celebrating 50 years here on WEGL as the station was founded in 1971, 50 years ago. And we are celebrating the legacy of Auburn's only student-run radio station, and that is the Big 91, WEGL 91.1 FM. All right. I think we bored ourselves with college football last segment, so we'll jump right into the professional slate, and I will just give you a quick rundown of what's happening this week in the National Football League, and we will jump right into whatever piques our interest. All right, let's get after it. Tonight we got Tampa Bay at Philadelphia. Tickets as low as $100 if you want to watch Tom Terrific and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the Philadelphia Eagles in the Link. That one's at 7:20 Central Time in Philly. That one's going to be on Fox and the NFL Network. All right, on Sunday, October 17th, Miami taking on an in-state opponent for the second straight week, except it's going to be in London. Miami and Jacksonville, 8:30 in the morning. Set your alarms for CBS Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in jolly old England for the Jacksonville Jaguars, or the future London Jaguars, taking on the Dolphins of Miami. All right, divisional game, Green Bay at Chicago, 12 p.m. noon, Fox in Chicago. Cincinnati and Detroit. Will Detroit get a win? Ford Field, that one's at noon on Fox as well. Houston at Indianapolis, CBS, noon game as well. You got L.A. at the Giants of New York. That one's at noon on Fox. KC will be bouncing back after a devastating loss on Sunday Night Football against Alex's Washington football team on CBS. That one's at noon as well. The Minnesota Vikings will be playing the Carolina Panthers in Bank of America Stadium. That one's at noon on Fox as well. You can watch Los Angeles Chargers versus the Baltimore Ravens. That one's at noon on CBS, live from Baltimore. You've also got the Arizona Cardinals looking to remain undefeated against the Cleveland Browns. That's a 3 p.m. game in First Energy Stadium. You got the Las Vegas Raiders dealing with all kinds of internal turmoil. They will look to get a win against the Denver Broncos and Teddy Bridgewater, 3:30 on CBS at Mile High. Dallas Cowboys will be taking on the New England Patriots, probably America's game of the week if I had to guess, as everyone's two favorite teams will be going at it in Foxborough at 3:30. All right, Seattle and Pittsburgh, a Super Bowl 45 rematch, the one in 2006. That's what I remember. Matt Hasselbeck, that team will be rematching with the Pittsburgh Steelers in Heinz Field. That's your Sunday night game on NBC, 7:30 p.m. if you want to catch that one. And then your Monday game on ESPN in Nissan Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee. It is the Buffalo Bills, who had a big primetime win last week. We'll be looking to get another big primetime win this week as they take on the Titans of Tennessee, 7 p.m. Central Time on Monday night for Monday Night Football. And that is your NFL scoreboard for Week 6.
Spectacular.
What are we feeling about? What jumps out to you?
The Chiefs are going to drop 70 on Washington.
Oh, it's much like how Alabama.
Yes.
Is going to need to let off some steam against Mississippi State. You think it's going to be the same situation?
I think it's going to be the exact same situation, to be honest. I really wouldn't doubt it. So I will not be watching the game. I'll be covering a soccer game for my reporting class, which will also be broadcasted on WGL 91.1 FM. Auburn soccer versus Florida.
I'll be in studio for that.
There you
Florida.
go.
You know, we have a big weekend of sports here on WEGL. We've got Auburn's baseball game, their fall ball game against Tuskegee. It's an exhibition game. It's going to be Friday evening at 6:30. We've also got volleyball. Mizzou is coming to Auburn Arena. That'll be at 4 on Saturday.
I'll be in studio for that as well.
Okay. If you want to hear Daniel's, SEC volleyball report, that's right here on WEGL. And then, on Sunday, you got the Florida Gators coming to the Plains to take on your ranked Auburn soccer team in an exciting matchup. That's noon on Sunday. And all of those are here on WEGL 91.1 FM as a presentation of WEGL Sports. All right. Back to the NFL. I'm looking at this Arizona-Cleveland game.
That's going to be crazy.
Because Arizona is a very good team, and I would like them to remain undefeated for a little while longer.
I'm excited for this one.
I don't know how good Cleveland is. They look really good against Kansas City week 1, but they've been really inconsistent for the rest of the season. No, I don't know how. I'm kind of out. I'm kind of out on Cleveland.
I mean, the NFL has been inconsistent across the board. The New Orleans Saints beat the Packers, then lost to the New York Giants. I mean, the New York Giants have lost to everybody. The Panthers were great and then lost to the Jets. Sorry to pour salt in the wound there, but we're still waiting to figure out what the heck is going on.
They lost to the Eagles, Alex.
Oh.
Nobody loses to the Jets.
Sorry, I don't know why I thought the Jets. That's my mistake. I apologize.
And who could have thought that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs would have a losing record at this point?
Exactly. I mean, sure, they did run into the Buffalo Bills, who I think are the future Super Bowl champions, but just it's been a strange year right now.
Lots of parity, and I think the fact that the Arizona Cardinals have been able to come out of 5 weeks without a blemish is very telling of the talent level on that team. Unlike the Broncos, who had a 3-0 record despite being one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah, because they had beaten three teams that were 0-3.
They were probably the 4th best team in the NFL, or 4th worst team in the NFL.
I mean,
and they had beaten the 3 teams below them.
I'm about to say that scheduling is going to come back to bite the Broncos, and Broncos fans are going to be upset about that because they very well might not win many games again, and I'm sure they would have liked a better draft pick instead of getting 3 basically automatic wins over crappy teams.
All right, how crazy would it be is if Jacksonville tweets, not satisfied with 1-0 after they start the season 1-0 last season, proceed to lose 21 straight games, and then travel to London and beat the Dolphins?
There's no way that's going to happen.
Do they just stay? They just stay there? Like that's our new home. We're in London now.
They may leave Urban Meyer there, but I don't know if the team will stay there.
Okay.
Urban might get a little distracted at some of the fun pubs in London. I don't know, but it's difficult to say.
I don't know if any pubs are named after him there. Though.
That's
He
true.
might not know how to act.
It's difficult. He may go and name one after himself there anyway, but it's difficult to say. But I mean, Jacksonville is bad. The team was already bad. People are overreacting to the Urban Meyer tenure, except the fact that he's made a lot of very stupid decisions that are outside of the parameters of performance, such as drafting Travis Etienne, then saying, oops, wish I hadn't had him. That's a great thing to say to your rookie first-round draft pick. Genius idea, Urban.
My favorite was when he brought in Tim Tebow to play tight end.
That was like a favor to his friend. He's like, hey, Tim, you want $1,000 to be terrible at your job? Here, go ahead. I get paid a lot to be bad at my job, too. Yeah, Urban is not good, and the team is not good itself. Will they turn it around? Maybe, one of these days. But the fact of the matter is that Trevor Lawrence is going to be nearing David Carr territory at some point. Do I think Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than David Carr? Yeah, but being on a terrible team that can't protect you turns you into David Carr, which is what happened. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on as well. Just chaos for Jacksonville, and they're not going to beat Miami because Miami's a good team. They're not a bad. They're not a great team. Is Miami a playoff team? I'm honestly not even sure at this point because Tua Tagovailoa is apparently coming back. Apparently, I don't know if that's completely confirmed, but he's listed as getting points on fantasy football on the ESPN app. But Miami's a significantly better team. Despite the shutout loss to the Bills, they only had a 3-point overtime loss to the Raiders. A not terrible game against the Colts. And I just think they're an objectively better team than Jacksonville. But looking across the standings right now, it really is crazy to me that the Denver Broncos are tied for second in the AFC West and presumably going to get first place because there's no way the Raiders win games, right? There's no way they find ways to win with the John Gruden nonsense at second place.
How much is that going to affect the on-field performance?
You lose your head coach. It's not the controversy. If he was still there, it's different. He's not there anymore. It's like a cloud hanging over the team. I don't know how it's got to affect it. It's like when you have a lame duck coach. Same thing. Now they just don't even have one.
But, don't teams win with interim coaches, don't they?
They have. Do I think they will win now? No, to be honest, I don't. I think
last year, the Falcons looked great once they got rid of Dan Quinn.
That's true, but that's because Dan Quinn is terrible.
Yeah.
John Gruden wasn't terrible.
All right, I did say yesterday that I think Dan Quinn could be the next coach of the Raiders, though.
He shouldn't be.
But he's doing so well on the Cowboys.
He should not be allowed near a head coaching position again. He's not good at, there's guys who are just not good at. Kevin Steele is not a head coach. We all liked Kevin Steele, great defensive coordinator. He was terrible at Baylor, and he shouldn't be a coach again. Same thing with a lot of guys.
McDonald's bags.
Yes.
Funny.
But I don't think Dan Quinn should ever be a head coach for a long time.
All right, and with that, we will await the announcement that he will become the next Raiders head coach.
No!
And that's going to do it for our show today. So thank you to everyone who listened to the show today. Hope you're enjoying your wonderful month of October so far. So I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to let you have a great weekend. But you like that, Alex?
I did. I must admit, I didn't have my headphones on. I did not hear half of it, but I liked it.
Excellent news. All right, and with all seriousness, I am going to let you have a wonderful weekend, and we're going to get out of here for this week's episode and this week's full breadth of shows. So that is going to do it for Compact Discourse. Thank you so much for listening to this exciting episode right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, however you joined us today, whether that be from your terrestrial radio antenna, WeagleFM.com, or by listening to our podcast. You can find our podcast wherever you get your podcast. Just search for Compact Discourse. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at CDiscAU, that's CDISCAU, and we will get information about the show, links to that podcast, and important updates, including if we are not going to have a show or if we're having technical difficulties and need to start late. So you can join the show by tweeting at us at CDiscAU. We'd love to get your opinion on the show. And we can follow Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere you can find WEGL_AU. Drop them a follow. That's our social media, and we'd love to have you following us. And for that, for Jack Hart, for Daniel Locke, Alex Houston, Davis Carroll, and Bay Marks, thank you for another exciting week of Compact Discourse. And as always, go 1-0, War Eagle, and we'll hope we get a big win on Saturday against the Arkansas Razorbacks.